Hello and welcome to another episode of the Wrestling Group YouTube. Today I'm going to be doing the Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor pay-per-view predictions. So I'm going to go through each match on the card and give my predictions for each and every match. Really excited about this pay-per-view. It's one of the best match cards I've seen for a while for a pay-per-view, not just Ring of Honor but in wrestling in general. Every match is exciting, every match is a banger. And we've got some talent that have come in outside of Ring of Honor, AEW, if you like, to compete. With Tanahashi being a massive name, Shibata is another massive name, and then there's one or two that I'm not overly familiar with, like Yuka Sakazaki, if I've said that right. I'm not familiar with her work, but really looking forward to seeing what she can bring to the table tonight at the pay-per-view. So obviously, if you're watching in the UK, like myself, then it's going to be early hours tomorrow morning, and if you're watching the US, it'll be tonight. But like you say, each and every match looks like it's going to be a really solid pay-per-view. The quality of matches for Ring of Honor and AEW at the moment is brilliant. There's never really poor matches. Like, I can't think of any right now off the top of my head over the last couple of months, especially where the match quality has been poor. So it's worth paying out. I do buy the AEW and Ring of Honor pay-per-views as and when I can, because they're always worth the money, you know what I mean? And then you have them in your purchase history and you can go back and watch them time and again, which I've done with previous Ring of Honor and previous AEW pay-per-views, especially with like FTR and the Briscoes, their matches. I'll rewatch them forever and ever. So yeah, just a quick shout out to everyone who watched my Cody Rhodes video that I put out over the weekend. It's now gone past 200 views, so I'm over the moon with that. It's now my most watched video by quite a margin now on this YouTube channel. So hopefully going forward I can start putting out more content that will get a lot more views, and we can push on and make this as big as the Wrestling Group on Facebook. That's the main goal. So getting a video go over 200 views is a good start, and that's what I want to do, push on as much as possible, give you the content that you want, and get you involved as much as I can going forward. We've done the Facebook Live video not too long ago with suggestions. I'll do some more stuff like that in the future, and then, like I say, when I return to work, unfortunately I'm out of work at the moment, when I return to work I'm going to start looking at investing in a proper camera, so I'm not just using my mobile phone, and start looking at other apps and stuff to edit and change things up in my video. And then hopefully at some point in the future, over the next 6 months to a year, I can start getting the odd one or two people from the Wrestling Group maybe come on and do a video with me. These are all the things I'm looking forward to doing in the future. But for right now, today, for this video, Ring of Honor, Supercard of Honor 2023, which starts obviously, like I say, early hours in the morning in the UK. Match by match, let's get some predictions in. So I'll start with the Reach for the Sky ladder match for the vacant tag team championships. Obviously after Jay Briscoe, sorry, my mistake. Jay Briscoe unfortunately passed away. They vacated the tag titles. Tony Khan said we're going to get a new design for the tag team championships, which is a good thing. The last tag team to hold the design that we had previous will be the Briscoe brothers. So that's a nice thing, a nice touch there. And we've seen, obviously, if you watch Ring of Honor Weekly, then you'll see in the latest episode that the Ring of Honor World and the Ring of Honor Pure Championships have already had a change in design. So I'd assume they're going to be something similar to what we've had with the Ring of Honor heavyweight and the Pure, as being silver with the red writing. So looking forward to see what they look like tonight. Obviously, Reach for the Sky, the name itself, obviously is a tribute to Jay Briscoe, who used to have the Reach for the Sky part at the beginning of his entrance theme, to do with Toy Story being his favourite movie. So obviously that's where that comes from, and it's just a nice touch. So we have five tag teams now that are in this match, confirmed. 5 really good tag teams as well. it's going to be non-stop, high-flying ladder match, I can see. So we have the Lucha Brothers, and former AEW Tag Team Champions, as well as Impact, AAA and the likes of that. We've got Top Flight, really young, up-and-coming tag team, you know, really impressive in the ring. We've got the Kingdom, the OGs from Ring of Honor itself, in Matt Taven and, oh God, my has gone blank, Mike Bennett. I forgot his name then. I was going to say the Miracle. That was back in Impact. Aussie Open, who are doing some fantastic stuff with New Japan at the moment, and Le Faction with Roosh. So, you know, absolute belter straight away. 5 great tag teams. And to be honest with you, there's no one really that I can sit there hand on heart and go, they're gonna take the win tonight. You know, for me, like, you like looking at it, like I've written down the matches. I haven't written down any predictions. I'm gonna do the predictions now as I do the video. So I mean, maybe the Lucha Brothers probably are going to be more to the favourites. You know, a well-established team, quite a few different tag championship runs that they've had in different companies. And they haven't done too much since obviously losing the trios championships to the Elite after the Best of 7 series, which was fantastic, by the way. Maybe the Lucha Brothers might be the favourites going into this. We've got Top Flight, like I say. I haven't seen a bad match of them yet. Aussie Open's been doing some brilliant stuff in New Japan. I can't wait to see what the future holds for them. You know, the Kingdom, I've always liked the Kingdom. You know, really good, solid team. And Le Faction, who I've only just started watching recently through Ring of Honor. Like, I always watch Roosh anyway. You know, he's a good talent. He's strong talent. I do like it, and he was great as 2-time Ring of Honor World Champ. I wouldn't say that I'd put them as possible winners, only for the fact that I think Roosh needs to, although he can stay in the team, stay in the faction, I expect Roosh to be back in the main event picture sooner rather than later. And I think he deserves to be too. He's had some bangers on Dynamite as of late. So I mean, it is hard to pick a team, but I probably would say I'd like to see it be Top Flight, because I think, you know, they've had a lot of problems with injuries and stuff over the years, over the last couple of years especially. But you know, they've done really well as a team. They look solid. I like them when they teamed with AR Fox as well in the trios run. But I would like to say Top Flight, but I don't know. I think I just can't see it not being Lucha Brothers personally. I think, you know, the Ring of Honor's just still starting out at the moment, in the new phase. You know, it's getting new eyes on it and stuff like that. So I feel like putting the tag belt on Lucha Brothers would probably be the best decision. To get eyes on the product right now. You know, everyone knows who the Lucha Brothers are. Like you say, they've been tag team champions in multiple different companies, including AEW. So they're a big name tag team. So I would think that they'd take the win. But like you say, all 5 tag teams brilliant, and I wouldn't be disappointed if any of the other teams win. So for that one, I'm going to say Lucha Brothers, just for the fact that they're a bigger name. They're probably the biggest tag team name there, arguably. So to get eyes on Ring of Honor going forward, I'd say probably the Lucha Brothers. So then we move on to the 6-man Ring of Honor Tag Team Championships with the Embassy and AR Fox, Blake Christian, Metalik. So big fan of Blake Christian. First started watching him about, was it a year ago, 2 years ago, when he faced John Moxley in GCW. Literally the only reason why I watched his match, I'll be honest, is because John Moxley was facing him. And then I started watching and thought, wow, this lad's good. You know, he's got some talent. Reminds me a bit like a young Will Ospreay when he was in Ring of Honor. And then I went to see TNT in Liverpool last year, and he was there, and another great showing. And obviously I've been watching his odd matches he's been doing on Dark, and then the odd match he's done on Ring of Honor so far as well, and he's got a bright future ahead of him. He's definitely a talent. He had a match against Vikingo this week. Wasn't as good as I was hoping it'd be, but you know the lad's still young and he's still learning, so you can give him that. But you know I'm really impressed with him so far. Metalik obviously watched in the CWC, back in WWE when they were doing the Cruiserweight Classic tournament. You know, impressed with him, done really well. AR Fox, like I say, again another one I wasn't too familiar with until he turned up in AEW and started doing the trios matches with Top Flight. Fit in perfect with the team, done really well. But for me, the Embassy, there's just, you know, so much power there. Absolutely so much power between the three of them. Whether or not Brian Cage, his contract's due up, so whether or not that plays a part in the result in this match, I'm not too sure. Like I say, no one knows yet whether he's going to re-sign with AEW/Ring of Honor, or you know, there's been a lot of talk about, will WWE pick him up? Will he return to Impact? Will he go on the Indies for a bit? It seems like a lot of conversations nowadays in wrestling are to do with people's contracts and stuff like that. It's a bit mad. It's starting to go the same way of football at the moment, where you know if a contract's due up, everyone knows about it. Everyone's linked with the wrestler, and you know they want to bring him in and this, that, and the other. Whether that plays a part here, I'm not too sure. For me, as much as I do like the three high flyers, you know, they've not really been a team that long, compared to the Embassy, which obviously they've become established over the last couple of months. You know, they've held the tag belts for a while now. I think is it 3 successful defenses? I'll have to check that, but I think it's about around 3 successful title defenses. You know, they've done well. They look solid. And like I said, I can't look past the Embassy unless, like I say, the only reason I'd expect the others to win is if Brian Cage is leaving, they need to take the belts off them. But I suppose they could just bring in a third member, a new member, and do it that way, rather than them actually losing the belts. But like the power game for me would be too strong, and like I say, the other team of Fox, Christian, and Metalik, they haven't really tagged that long, so I'd expect the more established team to win there. So I'm going to go with the Embassy to retain. Then we move on to Samoa Joe versus Mark Briscoe for the Ring of Honor Television Championship. Really interested in this one to see what they do. Samoa Joe is an amazing talent. You know, he's got a fantastic career so far. You know, in Ring of Honor, Impact, NXT. Wasn't used very well in WWE on the main roster, but he's had some decent matches. You know, he was US champ for a while. And then he's been TNT champion over in AEW, and obviously Ring of Honor Television champion as well. So, you know, Samoa Joe, when you talk of legends in wrestling, for me, Samoa Joe should be in that conversation. He is a fantastic wrestler, one of a kind. Mark Briscoe, obviously, unfortunately, due, like I say, to Jay Briscoe passing, had to vacate the tag belts. I'm glad they let him come out with the tag belts for a little while. You know, that was a nice touch, rather than just straight away having to vacate them. It was nice to see him, you know, for a bit with both belts, and you know, but like Mark Briscoe right now, and more to the fact is probably because Jay has just passed, is so hot. Like, he can't do anything wrong right now. He is so hot. And obviously he started picking up some singles wins. He said he doesn't want to do tag team wrestling anymore, which is fine. It's understandable, you know. I get it. You know, you've been tag team with your brother for forever, you know. But whereas Jay had the 2 Ring of Honor World Championship runs, Mark never really got a shot. Well, he did get a shot, but he never became champion, did he? He's not had a singles championship. So, I mean, now's the perfect time, you know, like I say, he's over. He's no longer going to be doing tag team wrestling, so he's going to focus on singles. He has said he will do 6-man tag in the future, but right now he's concentrating on singles. So, I mean, for me, if you don't put Mark Briscoe over now, you're never really going to put him over, are you? You know what I mean? And some people say, oh, that's capitalising on his brother's death and blah, blah. We've seen it done. for years in time in wrestling, like, you know, Rey Mysterio with Eddie Guerrero passing, Rey would have never won the Royal Rumble and gone on to WrestleMania to become a world champ if Eddie Guerrero hadn't have passed away. But at the end of the day, sometimes these opportunities come your way through unfortunate circumstances. But why shouldn't he be a champion just because of that? I've always thought Mark could have been at least a mid card champion anyway. Big fan of the Briscoe brothers. Absolutely love their body of work. You know, one of the greatest tag teams of all time. Definitely the Briscoe brothers for me have to be in top 10 tag teams of all time. Like, you know, a lot of people don't agree because of, you know, things that have been said on social media and all that crap years ago. I'm not even going to acknowledge or talk about that. It's just down to in their body of in-ring work. I can't for the life of me, and I was speaking to my wife about this the other day. Sorry, got something in my eye. Speaking to my wife about this the other day. Like, the Hardy Boys are my favourite tag team of all time, and you know, there's arguments then for other teams after and stuff like that. But like, Briscoe brothers have got to be one of the rare teams where I cannot think off the top of my head of a poor Briscoe brothers match. I can't think of one where it wasn't good, at least decent. You know what I mean? I don't remember a poor Briscoe brothers match. So, you know, for me, the fantastic team. And you know, I've invested in the Briscoe brothers over the years, and I feel like now is the right time. Like, what if you're not going to do it now? When are you going to do it? So like I say, he's red hot. So for me, and you know, you're not going to get a bigger pop than if Mark Briscoe lifts up that television championship, finally getting a singles belt in Ring of Honor. So, you know, he's been there for how many years? He's stuck the course of time. So, you know, it's about time he got something back. So I'm going to go 100%. I think Mark Briscoe takes the win against Samoa Joe here. And Joe can do anything now. He's at that level, isn't he? He can go for the Ring of Honor World Championship if he wants next. He can go back over to AEW and go for the TNT again, or he could even go for the World Championship in AEW. Like, if he goes from this to a World Championship, no one's going to bat an eye. You know, he's a fantastic wrestler, and you know, he's got the career to back it. You know, the accomplishments, the accolades, the championships. He's got all that. So if he wants to be a world champion next, there's no reason why he can't. But for me, I wouldn't bet against Mark Briscoe right now. So we move on to Wheeler Yuta versus Shibata. Now, that just sounds mad to me to even say. Shibata going for the Ring of Honor Pure Championship. You know, obviously everyone's aware of his injuries and the complications he's had over the years and that. And, you know, he's had a few matches since returning, not a hell of a lot, which is good, you know, steady yourself back into it. But Wheeler Yuta versus Shibata, like, I like Wheeler Yuta, and I did like him at the beginning. I wasn't overly fussed because I'm not a big fan of best friends. I know a lot of people are. I'm just not really a big fan of them, so I wasn't really that bothered when he was with them. And then obviously he started to do the stuff with Blackpool Combat Club, and you know, he started to see improvements in his game. And then obviously when he became Ring of Honor Pure Champion the first time, you know, obviously I spent more time obviously focusing then on what he was doing in the ring and stuff, and he is a really good worker, and he's not been the best on the mic, but you know, he's with John Moxley now, and he's with Danielson, and to be fair, even Claudio's not fantastic on the mic, but he's better. You know, he's working with the right people, and the year that he spent with William Regal as well, you know, to improve on his promo game. He's been over to New Japan to do the Best of the Super Juniors last year, you know, learning the different style and how it works in Japan. And obviously now they've just turned heel recently and become more aggressive. You know, he's just improving so much in a short space of time. And like I say, if you don't know Shibata, go and look him up. Go and watch some matches before this pay-per-view if you have time. Like, he's a brilliant talent. He's a fantastic talent, and you know, I wouldn't normally bet against him in pretty much any match, but I feel like Will Yuta does take the win here, because I feel like they're starting to build something strong with the Blackpool Combat Club, and Yuta's going to be a massive part of that. And also, I don't think they're going to want a New Japan wrestler to hold up one of their belts unless he's going to stay here for a couple of months. You know, I don't see Tony letting that happen. Although Japan do with the IWGP US, and we've done it with Mox, Archer, and now Omega. So unless it's a return of the favour, you never know. I mean, I would be happy if either man won, but for me, I think Wheeler Yuta's going to take the win. I think it'll be a close. I think it'll be war, but I feel like Wheeler Yuta's going to take the win here. Whether we see the Blackpool Combat Club get involved at all, that might be a possibility. That might be why he retains. Or it might be afterwards. You might just get a random beatdown on Shibata. Why not? They're beating on everyone else, including Don Callis at the moment. So then we move on to Athena versus Yuka Sakazaki, if I've pronounced that right. If not, I apologise. It's hard for me to predict this one because I've not seen Yuka's work before. I've literally just seen her appear at Ring of Honor just last night, and there was a buzz about it, so I assume she is a good talent. Like I say, I haven't seen anything of her right now, and I probably won't get the time. I've got more videos to put out on YouTube, and I've still got Impact versus New Japan to watch at some point today, so I probably won't get a chance to watch any of the matches before the pay-per-view, but I am looking forward to see what she can do. And obviously Athena, she had to retain the championship just this past night. Obviously I know they'd been taped, but you know, she had a good match there, took her out of it quite a bit. But like for me, Athena right now, and it is hard to say, but I'd probably say Athena is probably currently my favourite women's wrestler right now, not just in Ring of Honor and AEW, just in general. Like, I think she's such a talent. I really like the Ember Moon. I think she's a good, hard, solid worker. I think she, you know, her ring presence is great. I think she was perfect to have as Ring of Honor champion. You know, she paid the dues. She's defended the belt on Dark a few times while we were waiting for Ring of Honor to get set up. So it'd be a shame if they took the belt off her now. You know, like what I say, she's defended it on the YouTube shows, and that's not a slight on Dark. It's just it's not got the eyes on it that Ring of Honor has, and it hasn't got the eyes on it that AEW has. So I think it'd be a shame if they let her take the belt and then and defend it on the YouTube show, and then not really give her a proper run while Ring of Honor Weekly is now up and running. I hope they do. I want to see them keep the belt on her, and I want to see her build the Ring of Honor Women's Division, because right now there isn't. Second time I've done that, bottom 22 minutes in, so shot it. I apologise, I've knocked over my camera. Where was I? Yeah, so like I say, Athena, I'd be gutted if they took the belt off her. I feel like, you know, she needs to be the main focus of the Ring of Honor Women's Division, as there isn't really one at the moment, but they could build a division definitely around her. So I'd like to see Athena retain. Like I say, I haven't really seen much of Yuka, so you know, Athena for the retain for me. And we go to Vikingo versus Commando, is that how you say it? For the AAA Mega Championship. Obviously Commando we've seen in the ladder match recently at the pay-per-view, or just before the pay-per-view ended up being, didn't it? The Face the Revolution one performed really well, got a lot of people talking, and then Vikingo, a lot of people didn't know until this 2 weeks ago when he faced Kenny Omega on Dynamite. Again, loads of tongues wagging, both of them perfect people to get everyone's tongues wagging, to get people to tune into Ring of Honor. You know, I'd like to see Vikingo stick around a little bit longer if possible, you know, if he's allowed to stay, if AAA allow him to stay a bit longer. I wouldn't expect anything other than a Vikingo retain here. I think that's a pretty much an obvious one, but I'm expecting a nice high flying top quality match. You know, like say Vikingo, he's had some fantastic matches in AAA with Bandido, with Ray Fenix, both on YouTube if you haven't seen them. And if I haven't sent them to you, I've been sending them to everyone over this past week who's been saying they haven't seen much of him, but they were impressed with him against Omega. Obviously the Omega match, he impressed there as well. Like say Commando, he impressed in the ladder match. So, you know, both very impressive, both young talents, and it's time for them to shine and show what they can do on American TV. But yeah, I expect a Vikingo retain here. Couple of matches left. So we've got the Hiroshi Tanahashi versus Daniel Garcia. Now, what a match this is going to be. I am a massive, massive, massive Daniel Garcia fan. I think he's going to have a fantastic future. I think he's going to be a big name in wrestling going forward. He's still only young. He's still just learning, and he's still accomplished so much already. I just want to see him away from the JAS. That's just a personal thing. I think the JAS is holding him back. I think he would have been better suited in the Blackpool Combat Club. But right now, I don't think he needs to be in a faction. He's just had a really good match against Adam Cole on Dynamite. And now he's going to face one of Japan's biggest legends in wrestling, in Tanahashi. If you ever watch Tanahashi, you know exactly what to expect in his matches. He's the ace for a reason. He's a top quality talent. He's a massive name in wrestling. Again, more eyes on the product, which is fantastic. I'd love to see Daniel Garcia take the win. I really would. I think it'd do his career fantastic. It'd do wonders. But then you'd have to then just keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Whether AEW are going to push him right now, I'm not too sure. I don't think he's going to get the push that some of the other talents are going to get just now. I think he will do in the future, but just now I don't think he's going to get that push just yet. So I'll probably say Tanahashi will probably take the win. And we'll probably see something afterwards to start teasing Forbidden Door 2, I'd imagine. There's plenty of talent there in the locker room, and Tanahashi's got to be a big name to come over again for Forbidden Door 2. He faced John Moxley in the first one. So I'd probably say Tanahashi to take the win. I'd be absolutely over the moon and made up if Daniel Garcia takes the win. But I will probably say Tanahashi will get the win here over Daniel Garcia, and probably set up, like I say, a match, or start to tease the idea of a match for Forbidden Door 2, maybe against Chris Jericho. Who knows? And then we go on to the main event of Claudio Castagnoli versus Eddie Kingston for the Ring of Honor World Championship, a match 15 years in the making. If you haven't yet seen the build up to this on YouTube, get on it. It's worth it. It's not a long video, but it explains a lot of the history if you're not too familiar with it. It's definitely worth checking out. It's for me, this is just going to be a war. I think it's just going to be chops, slaps, elbows, uppercuts, the lot. I've been back and forth on this one for a bit, actually, of who I expect to win, or who I want to win, or who I don't know who I predict to win. And I think it's a hard on this. I think this one is actually quite a 50-50 one. Claudio's done well in pushing on to become, a world champ. Who, not long after he come into AEW, he was the Ring of Honor world champ, and started to lay the foundations to set up, obviously, Ring of Honor Weekly. And then Chris Jericho took the belt, and Chris Jericho done fantastic things with it. He had some absolute belts, some of the best matches I've seen from Jericho in years. And then obviously Claudio takes the belt back from him, probably more over than when he first won it. And now, he's been the face of Ring of Honor, pushing forward for the TV deal, for the pay-per-views and stuff. He's the centre stone. But, they're moving things forward with the Blackpool Combat Club. So, is he necessarily going to be Ring of Honor World Champ? And is he going to be on Ring of Honor each and every week, plus Dynamite each and every week, plus every AEW pay-per-view and every Ring of Honor pay-per-view? I mean, he is someone that could do that, but will they do that? I'm not too sure. Eddie Kingston, on the other hand, hasn't been a world champ. Has had a massive backing from the fans since day one. They loved him when he come in as an open challenge opponent for Cody's TNT Championship, and the fans have been behind him the whole way. A lot of fans think that he should have been AEW World Champion by now. So he's left AEW, if you like, in regards to the storyline, and he's now in Ring of Honor, and he wants to beat Claudio, who obviously someone who he's best friends with, and now is a rival. Shock, there's Eddie Kingston for you. Falls out with every friend he's ever had. A lot of people love his promo work. He is really good on the mic. A lot of his promos for me are quite similar, unfortunately. That's just me nitpicking, maybe. But you know, again, I wouldn't be disheartened whichever one of these win. I think if you don't put the heavyweight championship on Eddie Kingston right now, then you probably never will. So I think if you want to make him a world champ, now's the time. But again, Claudio, I just don't see Claudio losing. That's the only issue I have. You know, if he does lose, then to someone like Eddie Kingston is a perfect person to lose the belt to, and then he can then just switch his focus back to just AEW for a while, maybe come in and do the odd Ring of Honor pay-per-view or the odd Ring of Honor show, but his main focus probably back on AEW, and obviously back in the Blackpool Combat Club where they're just going around beating everyone up at the moment, which is fantastic. It's a hard one. Like I say, my wife's a massive Eddie Kingston fan, so she picks him. She's going to watch the pay-per-view with me anyway. But I don't know, it's hard. You know, if you have Claudio take the loss, that's going to hurt them being these mean, aggressive people if he then goes and loses. I don't know if it'll hurt him or not. It's hard. I have been back and forth. Like I say, I haven't written any predictions down, so I'm doing it now. Free off the top of my head. Do you know what? I'm going to go Eddie Kingston. I'm going to go with Eddie because I think if you don't put the belt on him now, then you're never going to. And I think, you know, Eddie should be a world champ at some point. And he's over as he's ever going to get right now. So, you know, I don't think they were ever going to make him AEW world champ. I just don't see that in his future. There's no reason why he can't be Ring of Honor world champ, though. So I'm going to say Eddie. I'm going to say Eddie gets the win. Again, like most of these matches, either way, I'm going to be happy with whoever wins. But I'm going to say Eddie Kingston takes the win and takes the World Heavyweight Championship, so Claudio can go back to just beating up people on Dynamite each and every week. So yes, so that's my Ring of Honor predictions card. Let me know in the comments, do you agree, do you disagree? Let me know your predictions, who you think's going to win for each and every match. As always, thank you for watching. Give us a like, give us a subscribe if you haven't already subscribed to the channel, and be sure to look out for more Ring of Honor content coming soon, more wrestling related content coming soon, more unboxing videos, more rankings videos, more predictions videos. Just keep an eye out for more wrestling related content coming to you very soon.